Present.
Vice Mayor Bergenzer.
Present.
Council members Gordon,
Present.
Ledeju,
Present.
Matias,
Present.
Matulek,
Present.
Palmares.
Present.
All right, thank you. So we have no presentations and commendations. That's going to bring us to item 4, which is consent calendar and approval of agenda. We have no consent calendar items, so we just need a motion to approve the agenda.
I motion to approve the consent calendar and agenda.
All right, let's vote on it. You want to just do all? Would you want to do a voice vote? Can we do it? We just need to approve the agenda. All right, all in favor? Let's just say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any any noes or abstentions? Any noes or abstentions? Is that all right?
I heard you all. You carried unanimously.
It was a unanimous. It was a unanimous vote. Oh, here and now it's up on the screen, but we got past it. That's going to bring us to our action calendar, and I'll ask City Clerk Abramson to please announce item 5A.
Adopt a resolution declaring 3 Successor agency-owned parcels located between Solano Avenue and Ryder Street, and the APNs are listed on the agenda, exempt surplus land pursuant to Government Code Section 54221F1D, and finding that said action is exempt from environmental review under CEQA pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15312, surplus government property sales.
All right, thank you very much. And we have Assistant City Manager Hain. Do we have a presentation on this item? And let's go ahead and open up the public comment period as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Tonight before you, we're looking at 3 different properties for declaration of surplus exemption to the Surplus Lands Act. Next slide, please. This is our overview of our presentation tonight. Next slide, please. Basically, a quick recap. Vallejo Flood and Waste District approached the city. They have interest in purchasing some city-owned properties that the city is currently not using for their long-term treatment plant use. So September 24, City Council authorized staff to proceed with disposition negotiation on certain properties. So we chatted with them on several opportunities, and 3 before you tonight are before you as the successor agency to consider declaring exempt surplus lands as supported by written findings before we take action related to disposition of those 3 properties. Next slide. Again, surplus land is land owned in fee simple by any local agency for which the local agency's governing body takes formal action in a regular public meeting declaring that the land is surplus and not necessary for the agency's use. These are 3 railroad spur parcels. The city has not used them. They are sitting there vacant, and the district actually has opportunity to use them and utilize them for their waste plant. Agency's use is defined as land that's being used or planned to be used. We don't have a plan for these lands. And in the agency's operation, utilities, ports, logistics, watershed, conservation, demonstration, exhibition, educational purposes, GHG emissions, sites for broadband, wireless facilities, buffer sites, etc. So we don't have, as the city of Vallejo, any agency use needs at this time. Next slide, please. The applicable exemption that staff would like the board to consider is Government Code 54221F1D. That provides that exempt surplus lands include surplus lands that the local agency is transferring to another local, state, or federal agency for the receiving agency's use. So since it's an agency-to-agency potential transfer, there is an allowable exemption. Next slide, please. These are the 3 parcels here on the right-hand side in yellow. If you take a look, it's at Sonoma and Ryder, near the existing plant. So there's the top picture is the long, thin railroad spur. The middle picture is almost kind of like a conversation cartoon box shape. And then the one on the very bottom, right above the treatment plant, you can see that long rectangular yellow outlined parcel as well. So again, they're abandoned railroad spurs. There are 3 parcels that total 0.6 acres. And the top one is 0.22 acres, the middle picture is 0.06 acres, and the bottom piece is 0.32 acres. Here is a picture. You can see there's some items there that have been gathered, but it's fenced on both sides and not currently being used. Next slide, please. Just some information on these parcels. They are properties that have little or no development potential. And one possible disposition would be to offer them to adjoining property owners so that they could, supplement the existing property they own. They're not used by the railroad. There's no current use identified for these now or in the future for the city of Vallejo. They were acquired in 1988 when the former redevelopment agency purchased these from Kaiser Steel as part of a bankruptcy settlement. So they potentially have some hazardous materials since they were used by the railroad. We'll be looking into that as we move forward on disposition negotiations. Currently now, the parcels are expected to have a negative value until the hazmat and contamination is known, and we can make that determination of interest by the adjacent property owners, which in this case is Vallejo Flood and Waste District. Next slide, please. These are some outside sources. We will be working on a current appraisal before we come back to you with a disposition agreement proposal. But in 1988, their total value was about $66,000. In 2018, the appraisal of the three was about $52,000. That's due to potential contamination. Next slide, please. So after the governing body, if you declare as successor agency that these properties are exempt surplus land, then staff would move forward to execute the disposition documents with Vallejo Flood and Wastewater District, and then bring that document and transaction back to City Council for their consideration. We would be conducting appraisals and recommending transfer at market value. As part of this compensation agreement that we have with the county, as these properties were purchased as the redevelopment agency, we have to pay proceeds of the sale to the county, and then they treat these proceeds as a property tax revenue and distribute the proceeds to different agencies, including the city. The city's share of that revenue is approximately 19% of the sale price. This is an old compensation agreement that exists, and do you want to? It's actually statutory. Okay, statutorily, excuse me, we get 19% of that sale price. Next slide, please. So at this point, since there is no use for the city now or in the future on these three railroad parcels, they were the low-hanging fruit of the properties that council directed us to negotiate. We could both agree that the district needs them and is interested, and the city doesn't need them. And so that's why we brought these three forward, because we could move them a little bit quicker than the 50 Solano and some of the other locations that we'll be looking at. So staff recommendation is to adopt this resolution as the successor agency on these three parcels notated in the staff report, that they're no longer necessary for the city's use, and declaring those said parcels as exempt surplus land pursuant to Government Code Section 54221F1D, after making the finding that said action is exempt from CEQA and pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15312. And that concludes staff presentation. I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment on this item? Anyone online?
None at this time.
All right. Vice Mayor Bergenser.
I just have a quick question. So just so I understand this, we sell our property, but the county gets the money from our property? And
Yes.
why would we want to sell our property if the county is just going to get the money?
Well, it's not the county, it's all taxing. So the county gets it to distribute it to all taxing jurisdictions pursuant to a formula. And the reason is that's all part of the redevelopment dissolution law. So remember when the state legislature took redevelopment away? Unfortunately, well, I guess some others might think it's fortunate, but we'll go with unfortunately for the city. What happened is that if you had you had redevelopment properties, they got transferred from the redevelopment agency to the city as the successor agency to the redevelopment agency, and thereafter based on certain formulas and depending on what the property is, when you transfer that property, sell it to another party, the proceeds of that sale get distributed in accordance with the statutory formula or the agreed formula, depending on what you happen to have for your jurisdiction. And ours, for the county of Solano, is 19% to the city, and then different percentages to the other taxing entities.
So
There are
it's not-
some
so it's not
properties.
negotiable? It's
Not
for the
really, no. Unfortunately, we're in that circumstance where some parcels, you don't have a lot of them, but you have a few that you're going to have to be faced with. If you wanted to get rid of them, is it worth it, or is it worth it for you to use them for other purposes? Like these strip parcels like this, no. But you may have coming forward to you other parcels on our property list of properties that we're not currently doing anything with, that were former RDA properties, that if you want to use them for, say, housing, that might be a higher and better use than transferring them for something else and then ending up with them the city not receiving the benefit, I'll call it that, or the full benefit. So we're not there, but with this one,
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other comments. I would make one comment. Oh, Councilmember Matee. Well, I'll finish my sentence, which was going to be, I would love to see if there are any properties owned by the successor agency that might be a fit for safe camping or parking. And then I'll go over to Councilmember Matias.
Quick question, Assistant City Manager. So is 50 Solano part of the whole RDA?
No.
Oh, okay, great.
5 Midway and 50 Solano, which we are looking at in addition to these properties, are not part of the successor agency-owned property.
Okay, thanks.
All right. I'm not seeing anyone else. Are we ready for a motion?
First of all, can we, I would like to hear, like, the mayor made a very good point about having successor agency properties be considered for the safe parking. And I think that would be a great use. If we could have a specific list of those properties, that would be ideal.
Yeah, thank you. It would be great to have the list maybe emailed to council, but then if staff can evaluate it and if there are any recommendations, I guess that would have to come before this board in this format.
Correct.
It would be a little bit of a kind of two hats thing, but yeah,
Yeah, so we're looking at all.
the list would be great just to have, and then, yeah, it would be great to evaluate that.
Okay.
Okay,
I
and
move-
Councilmember Gordon,
Oh,
just,
sorry.
sorry, just,
I just want to support that as well.
thank you. All right, go ahead.
Okay, I move that we adopt a resolution declaring 3 successor agency-owned parcels located between Solano Avenue and Ryder Street, consisting of the APNs listed in the agenda, exempt surplus land pursuant to Government Code Section 54221F1D, and finding that said action is exempt from environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15312, surplus government property sales.
All right, let's go ahead and vote. We're
Motion
quick.
carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting, 11:05 PM. Thank you all. Thanks for staying late.
Oh.